So what is this called?
So this is called Pink Hemingway.
What inspired you to make this?
Well, Hemingway was an author, a book writer, and he's now dead, but he's an award-winning author, and I was inspired by his work, so I wanted to make a sculpture out of his face, and I did.
So what's with the art?
So that, incorporates the art, which is actually a bucket of paint that goes into, is being poured on top of the actual sculpture, and that's why it's called Pink Hemingway.
What is this? Is that his neck?
So this is supposed to be a tree trunk, and the face is supposed to be carved out of the tree, and it's made out of wood.
That makes sense. How did you decide how much the price was?
The price is, it's just like I had said earlier. I think the price is based on my on the level of difficulty, on the ingenuity of the project, how long it takes me, and things like that.
How did you get the facial features so detailed?
So I work only out of photographs, and I take references of the person that I'm working with. I have different views of the person, and sideways, front, back. So I'm constantly looking at that and carving into the sculpture what I feel is the resemblance of the person.
How did you decide how big to make it?
I just kind of try to do it a little bit bigger than life size.
Okay.
This one over here. What is this?
So this is called Bling Bling Rooster. A Bling Bling Rooster is a rooster that is all blinged out with the chain, gold, and it's supposed to represent, modern day riches and prosperity.
So like, just like the picture of a just.
No, I was looking at a picture of a real rooster. And I modeled this rooster out of the real rooster. It kind of resembles a real rooster. It's not accurately to representative of a real rooster, but it just gives you a resemblance of them.
Why'd you give it clothes?
I like to make my sculptures different. I gave him a pair of Louis Vuitton jeans, and that is kind of dripping and melting into his skin. And then I put a T-shirt. And the t-shirt says FS, which is my initials, Felix Semper. So that's why it's called FS Bling Bling Rooster. And obviously the gold chain with the dollar sign represent riches, and the gold to come in with that.
Would you make the chain out of a paper?
No, the chain is out of metal.
Let's see.
So this one's less money. Less money because it's smaller?
It's a little smaller, yes. It's a little smaller. It took me less time than the other ones.
Okay, your turn.
How did you make the things?
The sculptures are all made all these are made out of paper, and they're sculpted with special tools that I've created to make the paper sculptures.
Watch out, move your head.
You gotta go around.
I knew that. Just testing your limits. What are these?
So these are sculptures of Mao Zedong. He was a leader of China. He is now dead, and I decided to make this as his face. And these are people that represents people from the world that are being oppressed by injustice and by not being able to speak out. So I wanted to make a sculpture representing that, and that's why I chose Mao, and I chose the heads of the people trying to speak out. And this is actually an interactive sculpture, meaning that people can come and they can write on them, on these 3 sculptures, they can write on them and they can say and speak out for these people, which represents, like I said, injustice in the world.
We can still write on them, right?
You can write on them, but I don't have the right pens here. But I might be able to do something.
So which means we're allowed to touch you.
Yeah, these are the only sculptures you can touch.
What are these made out of?
These were made out of plaster.
So what is this painting?
So this painting represents 2 bulls in a Spanish arena, in a bullfighting arena. And it kind of represents how us humans are fighting against each other. We're humans against humans. And I wanted to represent that in the bulls, a bull fighting a bull. One is more human than the other bull, but they're both fighting each other. So it's kind of meaningless, the meaningless of war.
What's with the chicken bone?
Where's the chicken bone?
I thought that was a chicken bone.
This?
Yeah.
No, that's his head. That's his skull.
Did you already talk about this one?
No. You can.
What's this one? You told us upstairs that he was one of your favorites ones, right? The cigar guy.
The cigar guy is one of my favorite. Well, actually, no, Basquiat was one of my favorite ones. But the cigar guy is also one of my favorites. The reason why he's one of my favorites is because he represents, the cigar represents where I come from. I was born in Cuba. So in Cuba, the cigars are made in Cuba, and they're supposed to be some of the best cigars in the world. So anyways, I decided to make something that would represent my homeland, and that's why I made this cigar guy.
How did you think of all the designs?
You know, I'm constantly thinking of new ideas and new ways to create things, and ideas come to me, and I put them down immediately. And that's what I encourage young kids. When an idea comes to you, an artistic idea, don't block it away. Don't say that's foolish. Just go ahead and take that idea and make it into a reality. Hopefully, it's a good idea.
What do the tattoos mean?
The tattoos just represent a movement. Like, for example, this tattoo here with all the scrolls and all the arrows and everything with my name represents the movement and the way that this sculpture can move. And that's actually what I have on my shirts and most of my emblems that I have the same thing, which is also a tattoo that I have underneath that, which represents that. You guys ready? So this is the cigar guy. This is made out of paper. No, the cigar is solid because if I were to do that with the cigar, it would just fall. Gravity would bring it down.
So what makes you decide to, for them to do that? Is it, easier to make?
No, it's very hard to make because the paper has to be glued together in a certain way where it can open and close, and then it has to be carved, which, the paper could break, and it's very, very hard.
So you just made them do that so they can be unique?
Yes, I wanted to do something unique. I wanted to do something different. Plus, I love things that move. I love movement, and I love the kinetics of things. So everything here, except the 3 sculptures, moves in some kind of a way.
Are you done?
One more sculpture I got.
You want to come here? Or?
Let Christopher Rob. Move time and let Christopher Rob. Come on this side. There you go. Back up towards the door.
So I'm going to show you, when I show you the burger, I'm going to show it to you like this so you can capture that and capture the actual burger, the wrapper, which has the nutritional value, which I'll talk about in a minute. The nutritional value is 0. There is no nutritional value in it, but it is very high in fiber. So if you were to eat this, which I would not recommend eating, the fiber content is very high. And the reason why it's very high, because this is not a real edible burger, a cheeseburger. This is actually made out of paper. Now I'll let you, each one of you, I'll let you hold it and open it. So you can imagine a bigger piece, how heavy it would be.
Tyler seems like the person who'll drop it.
Don't stretch it too much because it could, it could break, but yeah.
Okay.
It's very flexible.
You want to do that?
Oh.
So, is this one of your favorite ones?
This is one of my favorite ones, and the reason is because I like Jean-Michel Basquiat, which he is the artist represented here. I like his work very much, and I was inspired by his work as well. So I wanted to make a sculpture out of him to kind of give homage to him. So yes, this is one of my favorite ones, and he also opens up.
Does the top of it open?
Everything opens all the way up to the bottom. This top opens, it's all made out of paper, but it's very delicate, so I choose not to open because it could break.
So, like, what did he do?
He was an artist. He was a graffiti artist in New York City back in 1980s, and he became very famous. And his artworks now are in most major museums. And his style of art is very loose and very childlike, like Picasso.
What made you give it the color at the top?
He was an African American, so his hair was like that. He had the dreadlocks kind of sticking up, and I wanted to make it look like a stone sculpture, but I also wanted to take it out of that realm of stone, so I chose to give it some color to kind of make it look all stone.
I got one last one. Warhol, she's it.
So Andy Warhol was another artist that lived in New York, and he is very famous all over the world. He likes to take traditional, like Campbell soups, and he would like to make art out of it. So I chose to make his face, and I chose to give him a new product, which is Cheez-Its. So bring him back to modern day, and actually kind of give it a little twist by making a rat eating the Cheez-Its box. Kind of give it a little fun, make it fun. So it's all made out of paper, and it goes all the way to the bottom.
So, like, what are tattoos? Like the kiss mark?
So that's, he was, he lived in New York, and he always liked to make prints and photographs of Marilyn Monroe. So that's just kind of like a Marilyn Monroe kiss. And she gave him a kiss in the cheek. On the neck. And then the I Love New York part in the back. He was from New York, and he lived in New York. So, it's just like a little funny thing where, it's got a bullet wound, and it's kind of bleeding from the heart.
Can you open this one up?
Sure.
Will the rat open up?
It opens up all the way to the bottom.
Well, that's all we've got today.
Okay, thank you guys for coming.
Thank you for letting us come. See you next time.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching the Rocky and Derrick Show. Make sure you give us a thumbs up, thumbs down, subscribe, and if you want to become a sponsor, go to our website, Rocky and Derrick Show.